Well, well, well. Hmm. Hello, everybody. There were gremlins in the system. Welcome. It's Dr. Lana. So happy to have you. I could not figure out what was going on with the live feed. So, welcome to Care, Thrive, Family, Legacy, Caregiving. Me, Dr. Lana, specialist gerontologist, and today is such a special day. So thank you for joining in. I am so appreciative for your patience, and I invite you to join in on the live stream. What are we talking about today? Storm preparedness. Now, as you know, I am specialist gerontologist, and this channel is for you caregivers, family caregivers, but it's also for the entire family because there's no care without the caregiver. So you have to put your oxygen mask on first. And tonight's presentation is going to be a lot of tactile stuff, a lot of show and tell. And as you can see, I'm in my tropical gear because when storms are coming, ain't no time for, silk and ermine and all those sorts of fancy stuff. So welcome back, welcome back. And if we have met before, you know that the channel is all about taking care of oneself, taking care of the family, making sure the family is involved, especially in family caregiving. We are caregivers of all types, but family caregiving brings its own special challenges. And in the Caribbean, we tend to be we're special. There are storms, hurricanes, cyclones, whatever you call them, whatever they're called in different parts of the world, they create their own dangers, and that is why the meteorological offices in your area, bring warnings, send frequent warnings, and then as it's coming, as it's near, if it's gonna pass, if what to do, how you're going to do it, what's going to happen. So I invite you to join in. What was your hurricane preparedness plan this time around? So we in the Caribbean we go by hurricanes. So in the eastern part of the world, it's called a cyclone. So for example, Philippines and those countries, it'll be a cyclone. But it's the same sort of thing. So a pressure system, wind system gets really low. So the pressure in the system, I'm not a meteorologist by any stretch of the imagination, but you watch enough and you get to learn after a while about, what you need to do, what happens. So there's a pressure system, and you can imagine stirring a pot, and it's hot and it's getting hotter, and you stir it, and the pressure inside is lower, but there's lots of momentum on the outside, similar with a storm. And there's a low pressure in the middle, and then the high the winds that circle around from that, coming off of where they come off, whether it's the Atlantic or another part of the country, they make their way towards, as we say, they look to find where land is, so they can gather up more strength, gather up, and they look to find where land is so that they can release release the rains. Now we do need the rains, but we don't need it all at once in a bucket of drops, as we call it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I hope those of you who were under warning, are presently under warning, that you would have taken your precautions. And why am I speaking after the storm has passed? Because there are more storms on the horizon. This is not going to be the only storm ever in the world that we'll be facing. And now we're all thinking about being storm ready. Let's um, have a few thoughts in mind of what we do, especially if there's older persons in the house, you have children, you're a caregiver, you have all the multitasking to do. We're going to break it down. We're going to do it as evenly as possible. And well, and if you have any questions, queries, comments, your experiences. What did you experience during this storm? What have you experienced during a storm that you would love to share with the audience? So feel free to jump in. Going to have a lot of a lot of I'm sorry. We're going to have a lot of information. It's a lot to take in. Trust me, I know it's a lot to take in, but we're going to be taking it one bit at a time. And as we go on, well, hopefully you'll see. And I'll be using, I have a lot of things around here that we're going to be talking about. What you do to prepare, how you prepare if you're an older person, how do you prepare if you have an older person in the house, your family caregiver? What do you do? How do you not go into panic mode? That doesn't solve any problems, right? Right. So oxygen mask on first, deep breath, bring your cuppa. This is tea. So, with that said, let's press on, shall we? So, we described the hurricane and those force winds that come around the system. That's where the damage comes. So it's going to bring rain, it's going to bring lots of wind. And in the Caribbean, especially, and in some of the parts of the country, why do we take it so seriously? Why is it such a scary thing for persons in the Caribbean? Why the Caribbean so special? People would say. Or why is it that a hurricane brings this? Uh, is so specific in some areas. Well, California, they have their earthquakes. That's just the makeup of the territory. Our makeup in the territory in the Caribbean is we get systems that come off the coast of Africa and they build up, they generate with the warmth of the Atlantic Ocean, and then lo and behold, a system is forming. And if the time is right, if the pressures are right, if the temperatures are right, it's going to create what we call a system. And a system just means that either an organized, what you see, the little hole in the middle, it looks like a swirl around it, or semi disorganized, bringing rain and some thunderstorms. We also have the frequency is not so much the issue in the Caribbean. In the Caribbean, it's in a lot of homes in past times, yes, would have had houses built differently, houses that may have been a bit more frail. They may have been wooden structures. Nowadays, we have concrete structures, but don't be fooled. Concrete soaks and soaks and soaks the water and can collapse just the same way. So think of it as we're going to break it down into body, our bodies, our homes, and general and environmental safety. So let's start with the body first. And remember, we're focusing on caregiving families, but this is a general information for all of us. Thank you for joining, just sharing your comments. I'm loving to see the interaction that we have in here. So this is great. Whether you so before the storm comes, don't wait and go in the lines that I would have seen. Why do we do that as humans? Wait for the oh, it's here. I don't have any gas. I don't have any food. I don't know why I have to now run. Mm-mm, not the time for that. The meteorological, I'm going to just say Met Office for now. Met Office, which gives us the warnings. They usually start looking and they're on the alert and they have teams and they're warning us. They're telling us, heed the warnings, heed the information. Better to be over prepared than under prepared. So let's begin with our homes from top to our bodies from top to bottom. So, well, are you covered? Do you have rain gear? No, this is not rain gear. It is made of, flaxen, but it's a tropical thing I had. Do you have a raincoat? A raincoat, why? Because if you have winds that are over 70 miles an hour, how you can keep an umbrella open? Think about it. My raincoat is in the car because it was raining, but it's always in the car. So that'd be a good idea too. Have a raincoat, have rain gear in the car. But this is generally, if it's a storm, have raincoat. Do you have raincoats for everyone? Everybody included? Head cover included? That's head. What about medication? What about sunglasses? I mean, if it's raining and pouring, you don't need sunglasses. But do you have prescription glasses, lenses? I mean, I'm wearing contacts now, but I need to wear prescription lenses. Do you have an extra prescription lens? Is it correct prescription? I don't know. Did you go to the dentist recently? Do you need medication for your eyes? Do you have, well, let's go back to the eyes. Do you have drops for your eyes? Are they up to date? Do you need medication for any special conditions of skin, teeth, hair, nails? That's not, maybe not be crucial, but there may be some people who need that. Do you have all of yours? Did you get it early? Do you have enough supplies? Did you listen to the warnings? Hmm. Do you have enough? Do you have clothing that can is not, again, we're not dressing up for a party. This is disaster preparedness. So preparedness, not after the fact preparedness, then it's not preparedness, right? So what in our checklist, let's go through. So head, do you have your gear? Do you have your rain gear? Have you been listening to the warnings? But at any rate, you know it's rain and wind. Do you have your gear? Do you have your medication? Did you have it sorted? Did you check with the pharmacist? Do you have enough supplies? Do you have a team of people that you can plan with each other? How are you going to communicate? Remember, if phone lines are down, electricity lines are down, the landline is not going to work. So therefore, is your mobile phone fully charged before electricity is going to go down? Even if you have a generator, which is a good idea, but those are costly. If you have a 24-hour, those the backup systems. I don't call it particular names, but most people know UPS systems, APS systems. They have special surge protection and they can work without being plugged for a limited time. Do you have one of those? I can't remember. It's too heavy to bring up here to show you, but you know what I mean? The big black box where you put all your things in. Is that fully charged so that if anything should happen and your phone, which was fully charged, goes down, you can still reach your family and loved ones? Do you have flashlight? Why do you need flashlights? Because remember, your eyesight not gonna see through the dark. So what are you gonna do? Do you have flashlights? You forgot the batteries? Oh, remember this is no longer just for answering the telephone. Sorry to do this to you, but there's the light. The light on the phone, it's a flashlight. It will suffice. So don't panic about that. As long as this is fully charged, you should be okay. As long as you may have to go into data, Wi-Fi may not be working. You can use other means. Make sure this is fully charged. Make sure that your laptop is fully charged. Some laptops can work with or without Wi-Fi. Do you have any special ones? That would be nice. At the same time, it may need to be charged. You can charge it in your UPS. So this is before. Do you have your team? Do you know who you're talking to? Do you know who's communicating? Do they have all your numbers? Or have numbers changed? Do you have responsibilities for everyone in the family? Does everyone know? Did you have a drill before? Well, you can't have a drill after the fact. Storm has passed, yes, but other storms are on the horizon. Do you have a plan of action? Just as with a fire drill, do you have a hurricane safety drill? Do you have a go bag? This is all for the body. And we'll go into a go bag in a little bit. But have you assigned responsibilities ahead of time? Does everyone know where mom, dad, where they're going? Is the where you are going to be safe? Is there any area that's going to flood? So we're going to deal with the house, dealing with the human body. But just these are just things to think in mind because truly it's not a tidy thing. It's not just like, ooh, I have a checklist and I have it here, 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 and everything's going to work out. When a storm is on its way, especially when it's getting closer, you're not going to be putting things in one neat pile. You're going to be just doing things all over. But make sure the reason for the list is so you don't miss anything. So that's why I'm having a list. and break it down to body, house, environment. And we're going to mix some and some we're going to go back and forth. So, do you have your team? Do you have everything charged? Do you have your medication? I think those are the most important things. Do you know the plan of action for everyone? Do you have a plan of action for older persons, especially if they're frail? Is the house safe enough that they can stay? Do you have a shelter? Should you go to a relative whose home might be a little more sturdy? Do you know the shelters in your area that you may have to go to in the event that something happens to your roof or your walls? That's just a pause for there. Think about that. What about your own particular risks? Have you made is there a community plan? Even if there isn't, do you have your own family plan? Do you know all the emergency numbers? As I said before, 911 covers the entire world, but do you know your local emergency numbers? If you don't, 911, 000, those can cover most of the world, and then they'll put you through to where you need to go. And I've tried it as well. I tried dialing this a different number, and I got through, and I was like, wow. So emergency, don't worry about getting through, but do you know the numbers? Are they on your fridge? Are they in everybody's knowledge? Did you have a drill? Does everybody know? Yes. If so, we're going back now to body. Let's the stomach, heart. Do you have heart medication? You have any medication? All your medication. What are you going to eat? What are you going to drink? You want to be sure that you are hydrated, and we don't get hydrated by things that make us dehydrated. So the bottle of or the case of fun drinks, we can't do that because you can't even take that into a shelter. So of course I have my trusty bottle, my huge bottle of water, but that's for drinking purposes. Do you have a 5-gallon bottle? Why do you need that? That is for 5 liters per person per day. So you should have at least a week of water that can be used for flushing toilets, for just wiping off. We're not doing bathing and lounging in the bath in hurricane time. No, these are just emergency things when you're home. And the Red Cross has given advice and suggestions on when you're staying at home or whether you're going outdoors. So it's your checklist does your checklist have whether we're going to stay at home kit or whether we're going to have to leave? So let's do with the stay at home kit. Stay at home kit would be 2 weeks of supplies. And that's because stores, pharmacies, everybody, they gotta be safe too. First responders are out. First responders go out though when it's not when it's the most dangerous. They go in the times when there's a little bit of a clearance, unless it's a real dire emergency, like a fire, something's got fire or so. But we want everyone to be safe. So the more we listen to the warnings, the less we stress and strain we're going to put on our first responders. Please, the more we take care of ourselves, the less danger we will put on ourselves and the less strain we put on the first responders who already have the strain to take care of the entire country. Let's just bear that in mind. It's not easy. Floods, winds, they don't play. So we spoke about medication. We spoke about supplies for your food. It's not going to be the food that all the nice vegetables, because you can't store the refrigerator and overstock it with all the meats and the perishables and so on, like the carrots and the beets, and that'll be nice. That's not going to work. If the electricity goes off and it's off for a while because power lines are down, what are you going to eat? The food is going to spoil. It's going to be rotten. It's going to go. So, again, where's my can? Well, you have 10 foods. So there's 10 foods, and that could be tuna, that could be low salt items, especially if you have someone who has chronic illnesses. I mean, it's an emergency, but we still want to be cautious. So have your 10 food. Make sure you have drinking water. Make sure you have 5 gallons of water per person per day. And if you're staying at home, a 2 week supply. Now, you can still gather stuff while the storm is on its way. You gather that up in the house. So delegate responsibilities for those who are in the home and those who have to go out to collect supplies. Have them know what supplies you're going to need. If you have pets, pets should be indoors. If you have livestock, well, they need to be as safe as possible. Some may have to be brought in. If you have horses, they bring into the barn. Cows and other livestock, sheep and so on, they should be safe and sound. But you know what? Animals always tend to find a safe spot. However, in flood waters, they can sadly be carried away. So please, if you have livestock, make sure they are safe and on high ground. If and that the food that you have is for both whatever pet you have. If you have a cat, don't give it dog food. If you have a dog, don't give it cat food. But you know what? Food is bad. Some food is better than no food. If they have medication, give it to them. Then if they're indoors, they have to have a little box. Make sure you have disposable bags for sanitizing, for being sanitary, because everyone is going to be indoors. Um, the next thing is, what about so that's the human body. Oh, feet. So we talk about our head cover, rain cover, medication, food, clothing. You want clothing that's as waterproof as possible without making you unwell, because you know those lycra, that water will just come out and wash off. You don't want to put layers and layers because you may not be able to travel with it. It may not be comfortable anyway, and it's gonna be hot indoors. Hot indoors, you say. But we have air condition. We have fan. It's a blackout. Fan is not gonna work. The air condition is not gonna work. The lamp is not gonna work. The hand fan is not gonna work. And this may sound funny, but remember there's a the little children's program we grew up watching. It's a blackout. So we're not gonna have those things. So you're going to be hot indoors. Just make sure you're dressed lightly and have your rain gear. Feet. Flood waters. Flood waters are going to bring are dangerous. Why? Not only if you have to step outside, you don't know what you're stepping into. They could be feces, they could be broken bottles, they could be just garbage from somewhere else, and it will be dangerous for you. So, do you have rain boots? Boots, yes, boots. And for you and the family, that'll be a good thing to have, because that way you can safely walk through, wade through to your vehicle, or wade through if someone is coming to rescue, or wade through if you have to do last minute um, gathering of making sure the house is safe. Just think about it from head to toe. Head to toe for body. Now we're going to head to toe for house. We talked a little bit about the roof. Is the roof safe? Did you check that before? Is there anything on the roof? Did a lot of debris and branches start to fall on the roof? Do you think your roof is safe from caving in? Is it safe from being blown off, one part or the other part? Whether one section of the roof is blown off, well, the entire house is exposed, and it's exposed to flooding. You have to leave. So just be careful of that. Hurricane straps. Make sure that they're there. This is preparedness. If that was not possible and you don't think it's secure, you need to know your shelters and get to your shelters as quickly as possible. The home from top to bottom. Know where any flood areas are in the home and around the home. And if it is flooding, if it is flood prone, please ensure that you leave sooner than later. All right. The kitchen. Do you have an electrical stove? Well, we talked about the fridge. Obviously, that's running on electricity, not on batteries, as far as I'm aware. What about the stove? Do you have an electrical stove? Do you have an electrical burner? That's not going to work if there's no electricity. So you will need some alternate form of supply so that you can cook. But better yet, if you can't cook and it's not safe to cook because high winds are there or you don't have electricity is off, canned foods come into play. Biscuits, all the dried foods, canned corn, canned fish, canned meats, low salt preferably. Just gonna plug this in so that we don't lose our connection. One second. And we're back. Now, we said we have your team. Depending on the disaster. So ask yourself a few questions. Can I stay safely at home without electricity? Will I need electricity to operate the equipment? If I need to evacuate, where am I going? How am I going to care for my pets? Will they have their food? Do I have enough food for them? So that's your plans for the home. The environment outside. Was there a lot of debris? Do you have hanging branches? Is there a tree that really is dangerous and may need to be trimmed or cut altogether? Seek that out. There are community places that will help you and assist you to do it beforehand. Don't wait for 24 hours because it's a little bit too late then, and that will have to be an after the storm issue. But ensure that as much as you can do, always make sure your surroundings are clean, free from debris. Anything that can blow in a storm is a mishap. However soft this is, if it comes at 30 or 60 miles an hour, it is going to be a mishap and will hit very hard and can cause injury. When you leave, if you have to, so you have your stay-at-home kit. What if you have to go? The advice from the Red Cross is to have a 3-day supply and your go bag. So a go bag is not a big suitcase where you're gathering all your worldly goods from way back when and all the everythings. No, your go bag could be this small. I have a sack that you can just put on because it's to go. So those are supplies with your backup batteries, supplies for the chargers for the phone as you mentioned, a tin or two of food, milk, water, not the big gallon, but your own personal water. You can have a little pouch like this. It's got sanitizer, it's got alcohol, it's got soap. Well, this one I have to top up, but soap for just basic washing and cream. Because after all, why not? Still want to have cream. That small thing has everything and can go in your bag and can last for 3 days. And each person in your family can have that. Is the wheelchair, if the person in your home has a wheelchair, is it sturdy? Can it go through? Are the wheels okay? Do all these checks beforehand. Do a 3 months, 4 months check prior to hurricane season, which is usually June to September. But storms are changing, but generally June to September, you know it's going to happen. Prepare. Have your things in place. Children. We talked about older persons, but children, if you're a family caregiver, we're a family, and you have, then this is mine, and it's mine, and it's mine, and I take no shame in having my toy. But for children, do they have their favorite toys? Do they have their special toys? Do they have their soother toys? Do they have their blanket? Do they have their favorite thing that they need to go with? Think about it. It's children, kiddios that you're providing for them. So, have your children's toys. Make sure that they have their toys, and each child has his or her own toy. This is my toy. So no, you can't get it. Make sure that you have an extra pair of shoes. I mentioned the boots, but what about an extra pair of waterproof shoes? A lot of the sneakers and shoes that we have, they're not necessarily waterproof. So just make sure you have a pair of waterproof um, small shoes. If the boots aren't enough or if the boots are too big, just remind you of the boots again. Boots come in all shapes and sizes. There's some really cute, like shorter boots you can get. They're all pretty colors. I mean, so fashion conscious if you want to be, you can do that. If you're leaving, remember, know all of the if power lines are down and you don't want to travel outside, remember, and you may have to stay or you have to go purchase something maybe quickly. Don't wait until the last minute because likely cards aren't going to work. Speaking of cards, have you spoken to your insurance broker? Because you have your card and that has your number, and you can contact your insurance broker so that they know where you are, what your numbers are, what and you're up to date, and you can let them know if there's anything that they need. Now, bear in mind, you don't want to call everybody for everything. So as much as you have, but have everything there together so that after the storm, then you can talk to them. If there's something that you think may be unsafe, speak to your insurance broker beforehand. They're there to help. But remember, they have families too, and they may not be available. I was debating whether I should put matches in because electrical, because we're not using fires, we don't want to use flames indoors, high winds, flame, fire, think about it. Flame, fire, high winds. Can you see what's going to happen when wind blows? Can you see what's going to happen if you light the stove and the wind blows and the flame goes and it falls and the let's not go there. So matches discreetly, please. Do as much canned as possible. Bottled water as possible. Remember, we're still in pandemic as far as I'm aware, and there's still got to be caution. And at any rate, if you have to go anywhere with an older person, we're still going to be cautious with them because we don't want them having illnesses unnecessarily. Do you have your mask, face mask for everybody, sanitizer for everybody? We spoke about that with the bag before. All right. I also brought some extra garbage bags. Do you have extra garbage bags for debris that may be around the home? And this is before, not during, because you're not going outside during. But it's definitely also for after. If you have to travel and you have to leave quickly, you know where the car keys are? Might sound like a crazy question, but do you know where the car keys are? Do you know where the house keys are? Just saying. Do you have towels? Do you have toweling? Do you have towels for the children, for the older persons? Do you have a change of, if they have to wear adult diapers or babies and they have their diapers, do you have change of diapers? I spoke about insurance company before. So this is now personal home / environment we're going into. Do you have your emergency documents in a waterproof container that is easily accessible? Birth certificates, marriage certificates, divorce certificates, insurance forms, documents, health certificates, vaccination certificates. Do you have all of them all for everyone? Do you know where they are? Put them all together, carry them, and put them in another bag. This may be small, but you have a bigger go bag or two of these bags that you can run with. That's fine. If, as I mentioned, if you are out and you may be in for a little while and someone has to come to you and you have to pay for something, put everything in plastic bags. This is just some loose change. You may need loose change. You cannot go to the ATMs, have loose change in plastic. Everything's in a plastic bag. Yes, we're environmentally conscious, but let's be real. A paper bag in a storm, in rain, is going to be tissue paper by the end of the time. So we're not doing that. All right. Now, I think we covered before and peri, which is kind of during. What about afterward? After. First, if you've made it through, say a word of thanks, a word of gratitude. Family and friends are safe, gratitude. Home is safe, car is safe, gratitude. What about after? And you have to wait again for the Met Office to give the all clear. And all clear does not mean that you can just go out and let me see what happened and take some pictures and send everywhere. No. There may still be high winds. The rain might be less. They might give the all clear so emergency personnel first, and then the rest of others afterward. And then you can probably, gingerly step outside with your boots and see what's going on. to wait until the all clear is given. Hence why you have to have your radio with the batteries. So because electricity may have been off, but there's always going to be updates. Yes, you may be in a shelter. Just follow the instructions what the shelter has. Remember, unfortunately, shelters do not have pets. Do not allow pets. Some do, most don't. So that'll be a tricky one, but ensure that if a shelter could have taken your pet before, that could work. But some shelters might be overfull. So you definitely have to think about that one and plan beforehand. After the disaster, animals get lost and confused and disoriented. They get disoriented and scared with the thunder and lightning. Some people do. I don't. Um, but most people get scared with the thunder and lightning, and then you may find animals are lost. So just keep your animals safe. Remember, they don't know what's going on. Children, just keep them as occupied as possible. If you're going to a shelter or if you're home, have your board games, have family games, just talk and talk with each other. This is a good time to talk about your blessings. However, mental health is very important. And I think I'll leave this one for the last because in addition to all the other things you spoke about, having your forms, having your money, having your head to toe, having your raincoat, having all those things physically, making sure your home is ready physically. If you have persons with you that they're taking care of physically, mental health is important. You may have been in fair. What if? What if it's a higher wind than usual? What if this doesn't hold? What if there's flooding? What if there's power outage for days? What if we run out of water? What if we can't flush the toilet? What if it overflows? What if, what if, what if, what if? We can imagine ourselves going into a spiral. So remember, breathe, take deep breaths, get sleep. You don't have to listen to the news all night long. Maybe you can take shifts. Older persons, especially if you're having some older ones with you, family caregivers, get your rest first, take your shifts. Have friends, maybe you can still WhatsApp if you just to make sure everybody's okay. And just say, are you all right? Are you all right? All right. And just give some words of encouragement. After the storm and everything and the all clear is given, does anyone in the home, any of the children, the older person, you yourself, do you feel scared? Do you feel as though I don't know if to leave the house now? And some people do feel frozen in space. That's okay. That's understandable. Make sure that you may need therapy personnel, someone to talk to, just a professional who can hear your fears and reassure you of your fears, and you'll be better prepared for the next storm. We presently are in the Caribbean at number C, which was far away, but it was the second storm of the season that ignited the whole fluster. So I brought this, said I would talk about this disaster preparedness now so that when there's the second one, the third one, the fourth, the fifth, I have been living long enough to see it go right down to T. And it goes to Z. I don't know what happens after Z, but I've never been down to Z, which is good. But it can go that far. With the phenomenon now, it's less likely that there may be storms, the heat, yes, but you just never know. That's why we're being prepared. So I hope this was very helpful for you. I hope you have your checklist. I hope you have your protective gear. You know what everyone in the family is going to do. You have your supplies. You've backed up with batteries. And never fear, batteries, they ain't gonna spoil. Canned foods, they ain't gonna spoil. So don't panic that, oh, I bought all this food and then nothing happened. Safety first. And if you have more than you thought you have bought, let's share it. Share someone else may not have had it. the generosity, that's when generosity comes to the fore, when we're in disasters. Yeah, we become, I find, we become more generous. We be the human spirit of generosity and sharing, and shared disaster, if you want to call it that, that helps. um the list of your emergency numbers, having someone to talk to, making sure you know where all your keys are, knowing you have your documents, all of that. If this was helpful to you, and I hope it was helpful to me, it was a great reminder. And for the next time. So if your checklist did not have in any of those things and you thought, I have a go by, but do I have a stay at home kit? What about an emergency kit? Do I have plaster? Do I have vitamins? Do I have the medication? Do I have bandages? Do I, those little things? You can write it down. You can start to plan, plan for the worst, expect the best, prepare, be prepared. Be prepared. Be storm ready. Thank you so much for joining. Good morning, good evening, good night. Just hope you enjoy this spontaneous tropical update, if you will. And leave in the comments, what is your go-to, or what have you found has helped you the most in your storm preparedness? You can take it from human body, the home, the environment, and the outside. Always listen to the warnings. Don't do last minute. Make sure everything's charged. And if this has been helpful to you and the information, and you want any questions, just you can contact me, email. You can contact me on my other social media pages. I'm here, friends in here, families here. We're all family here. Let's just talk together. Thank you so much for joining. Share with a friend. Tell a family caregiver, family friend. Bring them on and just say, look, do you have your go bag? Do you have your stay at home bag? You have your 5 gallons? You have your water? You have your medication? Let's be our brother's keeper in all of this, because at the end of the day, that's what we have, each other. So from Phoenix to me to you, he's a happy boy. And just from my heart to yours, thank you. Hope this has been helpful. You're going to have more updates on other things for family caregiving, but this one was special because hurricane season, hurricane preparedness. Early we start, the better we are. Let's all be our brother's keeper. Good morning, good evening, good night. Press like, subscribe, press the notification bell for other updates, and I will see you for the next update, for the next discussion, for the next oxygen mask prep, families, care, legacy. Dr. Lana, signing out. Stay safe. Bye bye. Have a good and safe evening or morning or night. Ciao. Get my beer just for comfort. Yeah.